Hello, you all. My name is Jenny. I'm on hCG round 3, phase 2, day 23. Yeah, day 23. And I just started a video and I got 15 minutes into it and realized I was really talking all about my personal life. And you don't care. I'm going off about my scrapbooking retreat again and how everything is dealing with that. I told you I'd give you an update. It's kind of working out, sort of. Not the way I want it. Some of the people who bought extra table space, they're just not getting it. That's just the way it is. And the hotel doesn't realize that I have day croppers coming because I don't think they're figuring it out, the numbers as I'm doing it. So my day croppers, I don't have to turn anyone away. Here's the good news. I don't have to call and say you can't come. I do have to contact, or I did already, contact about 10 people and say, you're not getting the extra table space, which is going to hit my pocket greatly, sadly. I like to use that money to put into prizes and games and just make a great event for the women. And now I'm going to be out like, oh, geez, like $400. Oh, that gets me. Oh, shoot. Okay. But it is what it is. What can you do? Nothing you can do about it. Okay. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. I went on for 15 minutes in the last video. Not going to do it. Let's talk numbers. I got on the scale today. I was not happy. This is why I'm digressing. This is why I'm diverting. It said 161.0. And I was like, oh, if it was 0.1, it would have been in the 150s. No, it wouldn't have. It would have been 160.9. I still have a whole nother pound to go before I hit those 150s. I thought easily that was going to happen a half a week ago. But losing 0? No, losing 0.1, then losing 0.2 the last 2 days. I lost 0 2 days before that. It just makes me nervous that I'm starting on this trend of like losing 0.1 per day. And if I do that for a week, by the time I go to my next scrapbooking retreat, which is going to be in 8 days, I will still be in the 160s. And my goal was 155. I mean, I realized that after the last stall that hitting that goal was going to be a difficult thing to do. But I was hoping that I would be close, like in the upper range of the 150s. And unless things break through, it looks like I am still going to be in the 160s. So hopefully I start losing more than 0.1 per day, 0.2 per day. Because I really want to be in the 150s, and I really don't want to be at 159. I really want to be at like 156. I guess 157 would be okay too. That's really where I want to be. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm plugging through. I'm going to stay with it. I'm going to stay on track and do what I've been doing. What did I eat yesterday? My codfish and my vegetables. I cook up the cod basically with water in the pan, but I put a tiny little bit, not a full pat, but like, you know, not like a tablespoon, but a little bit of butter on top just for a little bit of the flavoring and to cook in there. As it starts to cook down and the juices from the fish cook down, I just keep adding water to it when I cook it. So it's kind of broiled with a little bit of butter. The vegetables I spray with a 0-calorie spray butter. I put garlic salt on both of it. Now, the past couple days, I've been doing a lot of the garlic salt. There's a new garlic salt. I have like 3 different kinds of garlic salt in my pantry. I love garlic. This new one was a larger container from Costco. The other garlic salts are 2 different brands. They look completely different. One is almost completely brown, and the other one's completely white, which makes me think it was bleached, but then garlic's pretty white. I don't know. I don't know why these colors are why they are. I imagine dried up garlic would be brown. Maybe it is bleached, and that's not good for me. I don't know. But I have this garlic salt from Costco that is like a white and green sort of speckle in there. And the salt tastes like a Himalayan pink salt, kind of. It's not pink, but or like some sort of Himalayan salt. I'm sorry. And So it has like, like a larger granules, like it tastes significant. You can taste the salt kind of melting in your mouth, as the Himalayan pink salt kind of does too. Not as much as this though, because the grinder on the Himalayan pink salt makes it pretty fine. But every now and then some little pieces come through, and that always makes me happy. All right. So maybe it's the salt, which would be great if I'm not losing as much simply because of my salt intake, because it just means I'm retaining water, and that can be gone in a day easily just by cutting out the salt altogether. I just really, really, really like the salt. It makes it taste so much more palatable and delicious, and it helps me feel like I'm not dieting when I have it, because it's like a meal that I truly, truly love. So I'm not going to get rid of it yet. And salt's acceptable on the diet. All right, garlic's acceptable on the diet, I believe. Pretty sure. I don't remember mentioning garlic. I should go back and look. I'm sure it's acceptable. All right. So I have to figure out really what's going on, but I'm going to give it like 2 more days to see if things don't get moving. I also went another day of not taking any drops. I really wasn't hungry yesterday, and Tom's still going strong, just one of those months. So, I wonder if not taking the drops in some way is affecting my body. I don't know. I tell you, us women, it's not fair, is it? It is not fair. All right. So something I read today in the protocol when I was reviewing, like, what should I talk about? There was a category called making up the calories in his protocol. And I'm going to read almost the whole thing. I'll save the last paragraph for another video, because it's really just a whole separate topic. I'm not quite sure why it's really in there. And I think I'll just read it to you straightforward. It's about substituting things and all that. I found it very interesting. I'm not sure if I agree with all of it, but this is the original protocol. And this is what Dr. Simeons, who I believe was in Italy at the time, wrote in his, if you're sticking to it and you want to do this by the letter of the law, this is what it says. And it's just good information for all of us to have in the back of our mind as we're making decisions about things. Okay. It says the diet used in conjunction with hCG must not exceed 500 calories per day. And the way these calories are made up is of the utmost importance. For instance, if a patient drops the apple and eats an extra breadstick instead, he will not be getting more calories, but he will not lose as much weight. There are a number of foods, particularly fruits and vegetables, which have the same or an even lower caloric value than those that are on the listed as permissible, and yet we find that they interfere with the regular loss of weight under hCG, presumably owing to the nature of their composition. All right, so then he says pimento peppers, okra, artichokes, and pears are examples of this. Pears. Now, when I told you the diets that are acceptable today, the doctors put pears on that list as something that you can have as a fruit substitute. Can't remember if it was a whole pear or a half a pear. I'd have to go back and check that. But I remember pears now being on the modern day hCG doctor's admissible thing, which is interesting because Dr. Simeon specifically mentioned pears by name in there as something that he has found if people eat them, it's not the same as an apple and it'll prevent you from losing as much weight. All right, I'm going to continue. While this diet works satisfactory in Italy, certain modifications have to be made in countries. For instance, American beef has almost double the caloric value of South Indian beef, which is not marbled with fat. This marbling is impossible to remove. In America, where we have the marbling in our meat, therefore low-grade veal should be used for one meal, and fish, excluding the ones that were not permissible, herring, mackerel, tuna, salmon, and eel, which have a high fat content, as well as all dried, smoked, or pickled fish. All right, so this is such a long sentence, it's so run on. Let me get rid of the parentheses and read it first. In America, therefore, low-grade veal should be used for one meal, and fish, chicken breast, lobster, crawfish, prawn, shrimps, crab meat, or kidneys for the other meal. All right. Specifically then saying of the fish that you should have for the other meal, you should not have herring, mackerel, tuna, salmon, eel, or any dried or smoked or pickled fish. All right. Interesting. So he's saying on our diets, even only once should you have veal, and then you should have chicken, and like the beef completely gone out of this because we live in America. All right, I'm going to continue. Where the Italian breadsticks, the so-called grissini, are not available, one Melba toast may be used instead, though they are psychologically less satisfying. That's so interesting. I never bought Melba toast, so I don't know. But I'm not going to say one grissini stick is terribly gratifying. It's so tiny. By the time you eat it, it's just like one mouthful of food. Okay, I'll continue. A Melba toast has about the same weight as a very porous grissini stick, which is much more to look at and chew. So I guess he's saying it's more satisfying to eat the grissini stick because it seems to be more, but I thought the Melba toasts were a decent size comparatively. I don't know. I feel like the Melba toast might have been more satisfying, but I just never got it. And I haven't been eating my grissini sticks either. Okay. In countries, specially prepared, unsweetened, and low-calorie foods are freely available, and some of these can be tentatively used. When local conditions or the feeding habits of the population make changes necessary, it must be borne in mind that the total daily intake still must not exceed 500 calories if the best possible results are to be obtained. That the daily ration should contain 200 grams of fat-free protein and a very small amount of starch. All right, so this should still happen. 200 calories of a fat-free protein, 500 calories, even if you're doing something slightly different. All right, when he mentions prepared, unsweetened, and low-calorie foods, he doesn't specify. He just says that. It's interesting, or sometimes he's like, well, you can do some substitutions. And then other things you're like, don't eat a pear. So, all right. Here is the last paragraph that I'm going to read to you today. Only a couple sentences. Just as the daily dose of hCG is the same in all cases, so the same diet proves to be satisfactory for a small elderly lady of leisure or a hard-working muscular giant. Under the effect of hCG, the obese body is always able to obtain all the calories it needs from the abnormal fat deposits, regardless of whether it uses 1,500 or 4,000 calories per day. It must be made very clear to the patient that he is living to a far greater extent on the fat which he is losing than on what he eats. All right, so this kind of covers two topics. It explains why a grown man and who wants to lose, an overweight grown man who wants to lose 125 pounds will still lose the same amount of weight as a female who wants to lose 10 on this diet to get to their goal weights. In the end, it's not about how much food is going. You don't need to increase it because your body needs to burn more. The diet is going to go to your abnormal fat reserves. It's not going to go into a starvation metabolic mode. It's going to go to your fat reserves. So what's really going to happen is the person who has 125 pounds to lose is going to be losing a lot more on this diet than the other person is, simply because they have got a lot more fat reserve. It takes more energy to move about and do things when you're 125 pounds overweight than if you're only 10 pounds overweight. And because you need to burn more calories and you're only taking in 500, you are then going to be into that extra 100 pounds, 125 pounds of fat that are on your body and burning and using that. All right. So the last paragraph I'll say for tomorrow, but I found this interesting today because it kind of talked a little bit to, he really kind of hem-alls around with the idea of should you be substituting things here and should you not be substituting things. I think I'm still okay. Like, I also wouldn't say don't eat the apple, but eat 2 crostini sticks because of the carb content in the crostini stick, although there's carbs in the apple too. But I see how they're very different foods. And I'm not doing any kind of substituting like that. Just of the vegetables, I am having, there are a few, let me tell you, the bag is mostly broccoli. Yippee! But there are a few carrots and a few butternut squash that are in there. And that's what makes eating enjoyable, are those every third bite that you get a piece of butternut squash or a carrot. Every day that I make my fish and I prepare it and I put it on that, and it looks so pretty and beautiful. I like kind of cut up the fish in the pan as I'm cooking it, and I add extra water and let it kind of cook on the bottom and scrape it up so there's a little bit of like gristle from the pan. Really, it's just the fish kind of getting sort of brownish but sticking to the pan, so I scrape it up, and it just has such good flavor, especially when I'm cooking it in the garlic salt, and I usually add a little bit of seasonings to it as well. So it's a white fish, but it has a little bit of brown mixed in because it kind of gets all broken up in the pan as I'm it up, and then I spread that on top of the vegetables, which are green and yellow and orange, and that white with a little bit of brown on top of it is kind of broken up already, and on top it looks good too. It looks good too. So we'll see. I'm going to look in the refrigerator. If I remember, I will look at Walmart and see if they have any chicken breasts. I typically I don't typically buy meats at Walmart, so I'm not even aware they have any. But anyway, we'll see. I may be having fish again. There's always a fish. Every time I take the fish out to cook, I take another one out of the freezer and put it in the bowl. And I mean, I truly only have about 3 left. I do have more haddock in the freezer, so I can eat that. I mean, it's better than not having any protein. It's better than just eating vegetables. And you really shouldn't go a whole day without eating protein, but we'll see. And we'll see. I'm really not hungry, so I'm trying to figure out the drops too. And could that be playing into this? I don't know. I was on not taking the drops before and I was losing weight. So, this whole diet is just to figure it out, see what we're doing, see where we're going. I will tell you that my stress level all day yesterday continued to skyrocket as I was trying to deal with this hotel situation. I dreamt about it last night, and my stomach this morning, anytime I think about it, still goes into knots. So I think my cortisol levels are pretty high, and I know that stress impacts your ability to lose weight. So I am trying to let go and let God. But it's hard right now. It's hard until I can get some final answers from the hotel on how things are going to be set up, and then know exactly which people I have to say you're not going to get the extra tables for, and which ones I can say you are going to get an extra table. I had 2 people that I thought were dropping out, and they're not now. I just found out about that today. So that was going to be 2 more tables that I thought I could give to people. Oh, well. All right, here we go. I'm talking about my retreat again. Can you tell? It is all consuming on my brain. So I've got lots of errands to run today and things to do. And this whole event, I got done doing this video. I edited it. I made one more video that has to be edited for my other channel, for the teaching channel. And I thought, I'll do that afterwards, but let me go on the treadmill first. So I sent that to my email so I could do it on a different laptop. I got on the treadmill, I got off, I looked at the clock and thought, it's 12:45. It's 12:45 in the afternoon. What? I finished teaching at 8 in the morning. How could it be 12:45? This is the exact same schedule I do every day, with the exception of trying to send emails and deal with my whole hotel business. And then, of course, recording that other video, which took a little bit of time too. It's going to take way longer to edit it, but all I did was record it. So, yeah, I've got a lot to do. And knowing that the day got by me yesterday, I usually take a nap because I work until about 10 o'clock at night, and then I'm back up at 4:30. Couldn't get my nap in yesterday, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen today at the rate things are going. All right. Yeah. And I also have to get to a bank to open a bank account for my son. Okay. You don't care. I'll talk to you later.